All right, guys, what's going on? It's Alexis here. We are at a property that I loaned money on. I'm going to break down the deal for you. Deal breakdown! This was a $65,000 loan, super small, tiny loan. Usually the stuff I do is like $180,000, $200,000. But the borrower just finished the rehab, so they're asking for their last draw request. One of the cool things about this deal is that I had lent money on the rehab. And so whenever you're lending money on rehab, you always lend it in draws. But the borrower is paying interest on the entire loan the whole time. So on this loan in particular, I was getting paid interest while some of the money was still in my own bank account. Let's see how he did. Looks like they added some new flooring, new fixtures. Soft close, okay, interesting. Wasn't expecting that. This is really like not a crazy nice area for a soft close. You got garbage disposal works. Laundry room. Rehabbed. Bathroom. Yeah, this guy knows what he's doing. This is great. Master, I guess. Fixtures. This is a super small house, super small condo. And then he did a second bathroom here. That's the house. It's probably just under 1,000 square feet. Got a small closet here. Then we have a small patio area here. Looks like he did some rehab. Painted the fence, cleaned up the cement. So, like I was saying, this is a $65,000 loan. The ARV of this property, when I comped it, was $100,000. Although there's some stuff listed today on the market, similar size, similar square footage for around 120 to 140. Comp sold at 100, at 119. So I have no doubt that this thing's gonna fly off the market. And if it doesn't, that's why our loan to value is so low, to protect ourselves. When I first loaned on this property, I only loaned $35,000 because it wasn't in the shape. It needed $30K worth of rehab. I actually had to come back here because yesterday I had a lot of meetings and I couldn't even do the inspection that I wanted to do. This is why you hire out. This is why you don't do your own draw request, because it's a lot of work. You want to make sure it's thorough and you inspect the work that was done. And quite honestly, yesterday I didn't have the opportunity to do so. But what's cool is I come back today and there's appliances. So now I'm gonna do a draw inspection, make sure that everything that he said he was gonna do in the scope of work actually gets done. And then I'll walk you guys through the numbers, how I, as Alexis Morgan, actually made money on this loan. Okay guys, I don't have a whiteboard and this is a new house. Usually on the old houses, you can just come and like write on the walls all the math because they're gonna paint it anyway. This is a new house and I'm not gonna disrespect the borrower's project, so we're going old school, pen to paper. Here we go. All right guys, follow me closely. On April 9th, 2025, a borrower requested an $80,000 loan. They're buying it for $50,000 and they're gonna put $30,000 worth of rehab. So the first thing I underwrite is how does the borrower actually make money? They submitted to us that the ARV was 125K. I didn't think that was true, but we'll get into that later. The first thing that I do when I'm trying to determine how the borrower is making money is I underwrite the numbers that they give me. So whenever I'm looking at a fix and flip, I'm gonna multiply that ARV by 80%. 20% accounts for the cost plus the profit. 10% is cost, realtor fees, closing costs, buy-side commissions, sell-side commissions. Whenever they bought it and sold it, there's costs associated with both sides. I usually allocate 10% towards that. And then profit. Profit is 10% of ARV is usually the minimum profit that I will ever see a fix and flipper doing a fix and flip for. So after we take this 125 times 80%, accounting for 20% cost and profit, we're left with 100K. Now, in order to get to ARV, the borrower has to put $30,000 worth of work. So that leaves us with $70,000 to work with, and they're buying it for $50,000. So at the end of the day, the borrower is making 20K plus 12.5K, which is the 10% we allocated for. There's 125K ARV. We times that by 80% to account for the cost and profit. Immediately, we're at 100K minus our 30K. So 70K is really the maximum that they could buy this for and still make a 10% profit, but they're actually buying it for 50, which means they're gonna end up making on this project $32,500 if their numbers are correct. But let me tell you what I found. When I comped this property, I found that there was 3 ARV comps in the last year. Remember, when you're comping, by the way, if you guys want a video on comps, comment comps below. When you're comping, you have to look at very similar properties. I found 3 ARV comps within the last 12 months for similar square footage and similar year built. One was 115, one was 116, and one was 119. I also found as-is comps. Remember, when you're loaning, you have to loan on the value today, not the value in the future. ARV stands for after repair value. So you can't lend on the after repair value until it's after repaired. The as-is value, I found one for $95,000. That was in decent shape, maybe a little bit better shape than ours was at the time, and one that sold off market for $35,000. Now, there was no photos of this one because it sold off market, but based on the photo outside, I could tell that this house was not in good shape. So I took an ARV value of $100,000 conservatively because the market was weakening at this time. It still is kind of, but I took an ARV value of $100,000, and when you have an ARV, max loan to value on ARV, 70 to 75%. So I don't want to be loaning even after all rehab, after all cost. I don't want my loan to be more than $75,000, following the max LTV on the ARV. And then we take the as-is value, which is a simple equation, ARV minus the repairs. Remember, the borrower said, hey, I'm doing a $30,000 loan. And in order to verify that, we actually got a scope of work. So we say, okay, perfect, your scope of work checks out. There's $30,000 in repairs that need to be done here. Our as-is value is $70,000. So my max on as-is value, LTVs, I want to be at 80% or less of what the as-is value is. Why? Why do I want to be at 80% or less? Well, because if I need to get rid of this house today, I might sell it for $70,000, but am I going to net $70,000? No. The reason why is because there's cost associated with a sale. There's cost associated with the sale. And so I might sell it for $70K, but at the end of the day, I probably wouldn't walk away with more than $50,000. And so what was the actual final loan that we did? The borrower was requesting 50% on purchase. This was a new borrower for me. I didn't know him, and he had 2 projects under his belt. So I was very conservative on what I was willing to lend him on purchase. I loaned him $35,000 on the purchase, making our LTV, remember that $70,000 we just looked at, our LTV on the as is 50%, and I loaned him 30% on rehab. But again, I don't loan on rehab until we're in this condition, after the renovation has been completed. $30K on rehab was held in my account, still earning interest the whole time, which is a pretty cool thing about this deal. So I was $65K all in, which makes my loan to ARV 65%. With my conservative ARV value of $100,000, which we saw back here, my total loan being $65,000 makes my loan to value 65%, which is far below the 75% max. So let's talk about how I actually made money. Charges and revenue. There was 0.5 origination, so that gave me $325 there. The borrower is paying 1.5% a month. They borrowed money near the end of April. They'll probably need another 3 months to sell and exit on market. So I'm estimating that they'll be 5 months in. Their payment, every month payment, is $975 times 5 is $4,875. And then there's an inspection fee. Inspection fee is $175. By the way, if you want the video where I go through what I'm looking for in inspection, comment yes below. What did I pay out on this loan? So one of the coolest things about this loan is I didn't use my own money for all of it. Most loans that I do with people like investors who want to come in and fund deals, want to come in and be completely passive. They don't have to find this borrower, they don't have to look at the deal, they don't have to be out here and inspect or coordinate an inspection. So I actually had a $30,000 investor in this loan at 1% a month. This guy's making 12% a year. And I'll estimate for him 5 months as well. So his monthly payment is $300 times 5, $1,500. Another cool thing about these deals, the expenses is where it gets cool. Someone brought me this borrower. They brought me this deal, and I split my origination fee with them. So a connector on this deal made $162.50 just from knowing the borrower and connecting them to me in a simple email thread. So with that being said, let's take a look at my profit as Alexis Morgan. I collected a total of $5,375. I paid out in expenses a total of $1,662.50. And so then I profited $3,712.50. But the most important thing, this number doesn't look sexy, right? But the most important thing is that it took me maybe 30 to 40 minutes to underwrite this deal, and maybe 5 to 10 minutes to text the borrower every month on when their payment was due. Now, I don't usually come out here and inspect, but I wanted to film a video. I wanted to get boots on the ground, and I wanted to get photos of this property, do some marketing with this property. Generally, lending is very passive. I talked about this before, and this is one deal. I do probably 10, 11, 12 transactions every single month, just like this one. Some of them even turn around faster and have higher returns. The coolest thing about lending is that this deal that I'm standing in now, this project, I didn't find this deal. I didn't fix it up. I didn't manage contractors. I don't have to deal with listing it on the market. You guys can see from the numbers based on the loan to value. This loan was a no-brainer. Super protected, super low loan to value, and it was a smaller loan. I mean, most of my loans are 100, 180, 150, 200,000. But the coolest thing about lending is that it's passive. I was cash flowing this property over $300, $400 a month, and I didn't find it, I don't manage it, anything. All I have to do is shoot a text, shoot an email to a borrower once a month, and I'm cash flowing off of real estate. Making money in real estate, cash flowing without any headaches. Lending is the only way to get into real estate without any headaches. So if you want to be like the 30K investor that I have in this deal right now, who's probably got his feet kicked up on a beach in the sand, drinking margarita, cash flowing from this loan, shoot me a DM. I'd love to work with you. I do tons of loans like this all the time. And if you want to learn this business model, comment below, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to show you how you can create your very own private money lending business with dozens and dozens of fix and flippers in your market. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, if you learned something, comment below, like the video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm back on YouTube.